ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य माणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। नारायण नारायण नारायण। Firstly, I'll start this episode or with prayers unto Bhagwan Shiva and Bhagavati Parvati ji, because Shivratri just went by, and both Bhagwan Shiva and Mother Parvati are actually the epitome of Guru Shishya Parampara, so to say, and without their blessings, gaining the knowledge is also next to impossible actually. So I'll start with humble prayers unto lotus feet of Bhagwan Shiva and Ma Bhagavati Parvati. Karpura Gauram करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि भवानी शंकरौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्थमीश्वरं वन्दे बोधमयं नित्यं गुरुं शङ्कररूपिणं यमाश्रितो हि वक्रोऽपि चन्द्रः सर्वत्र वन्द्यते चन्द्रः सर्वत्र वन्द्यते चन्द्रः सर्वत्र वन्द्यते Bhagwan Shiva, who's the start of our Guru Shishya Parampara. That's why in the prayer, at the beginning of the episode, also in the prayer, I say, Sada Shiva Samarambham. And Ma Parvati, Ma Bhagavati Parvati, is nothing but Sakshat Brahma Vidya herself. And Bhagwan Shiva is the Adi Guru. So, Adi Guru and Brahma Vidya, the holy wedlock between a Guru and Brahma Vidya is what is represented by Mahashivratri as the holy wedlock between Bhagwan Shiva and Ma Bhagavati Parvati. Because Ma Bhagavati Parvati is Sakshat Brahma Vidya Swarupini. And Bhagwan Shiva is the, in Srimad Bhagavat also it says about Bhagwan Shiva, Saesha Guru, Jnani Nam Sabhapati. He's his form is like he's always surrounded by all the jnanis, all the man of realization, and all the gurus. Why? Because he's the guru of all guru. That's why the entire Guru Shishya Parampara also starts from Bhagwan Shiva. So on this, just Shivratri went by. So my humble prayers unto lotus feet of Bhagwan Shiva and Ma Bhagavati Parvati for us to gain that knowledge which is called Brahma Vidya, which is what Bhagwan Krishna, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna is giving us through Bhagavad Gita. So let's get into the verse where we left last time. Verse number 69. In fact, I'll tell you one more important thing. This verse number 69, Bhagwan is talking about the level of a man of realization. What man of realization's vision about the world and Brahma Vidya is all about. And see, we are at this episode is coming after Shivratri only, because Bhagwan Shiva only blesses us to see that side of a man of realization, because that's how when once a man of realization crosses over to the other side means crosses over the Bhavsagar means the ocean of this world and life. And the other side, what a man of realization sees is what is mentioned in this verse number 69. So it is absolute grace of Bhagwan Krishna and Bhagwan Shiva that we are taking up this verse after Shivratri only. So let's read the verse number 69 and we'll take up the meaning from where we left in the last session. I also mentioned to you in the last session that I did not read when I chanted the verse in the last session, verse number 69. I did not read the commentary of Bhagwan Shankaracharya, Bhagwan Bhashyakar on this one, because I told you Bhagwan Bhashyakar or Bhagwan Shankaracharya has written a very elaborate and a beautiful commentary on this. It was a little long, so I left it last time. So we'll read that also after the verse today. So verse number 69. या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji's commentary on this, bhashya on this. या निशा रात्रिः सर्व पदार्थानां अविवेककरी तमस्वभावत्वात् सर्वेषां भूतानां सर्वभूतानां किं तत् परमार्थ तत्वं स्थित प्रज्ञस्य विषयः यथा नक्तञ्चराणाम् अहः एव सद् अन्येषां निशा भवति तद्वद् नक्तञ्चरस्थानीयानाम् अज्ञानाम् सर्वभूतानां निशा इव निशा परमार्थ तत्वम् अगोचरत्वात् अतद्बुद्धीनाम् तस्यां परमार्थ तत्व लक्षणायाम् अज्ञान निद्रायाः प्रबुद्धो जागर्ति संयमी संयमवान् जितेन्द्रियो योगी इत्यर्थः यस्यां ग्राह्य ग्राहक भेद लक्षणायाम् अविद्या निशायां प्रसुप्तानि एव भूतानि जागृति इति उच्यते यस्यां निशायां प्रसुप्ता इव स्वप्नदृशः सा निशा विद्यारूपत्वात् परमार्थ तत्वं पश्यतो मुनेः अतः कर्माणि अविद्यावस्थायाम् एव चोद्यन्ते न विद्यावस्थायां विद्यायां हि सत्याम् उदिते सवितरि शार्वरम् इव तमः प्रणाशम् उपगच्छति अविद्या प्राग्विद्योत्पत्तेः प्राग्विद्योत्पत्तेः अविद्या प्रमाण बुद्ध्या गृह्यमाणा क्रियाकारक फल भेद रूपा सती सर्वकर्म हेतुत्वं प्रतिपद्यते न अप्रमाण बुद्ध्या गृह्यमाणायाः कर्म हेतुत्वोत्पत्तिः प्रमाणभूतेन वेदेन मम चोदितं कर्तव्यं कर्म इति हि कर्मणि कर्ता प्रवर्तते न अविद्या मात्रम् इदं सर्वं निशा इव इति यस्य पुनः निशा इव अविद्या मात्रम् इदं सर्वं भेदजातम् इति ज्ञानं तस्य आत्मज्ञस्य सर्वकर्म संन्यासे एव अधिकारो न प्रवृत्तौ तथा च दर्शयिष्यति तद्बुद्ध्यस्तदात्मानः इत्यादिना ज्ञाननिष्ठायाम् एव तस्य अधिकारम् तत्र अपि प्रवर्तक प्रमाणाभावे प्रवृत्त्यनुपपत्तिः इति चेत् न स्वात्म विषयत्वाद् आत्मज्ञानस्य न हि आत्मनः स्वात्मनि प्रवर्तक प्रमाणापेक्षता आत्मत्वात् एव तदनन्तत्वात् च सर्व प्रमाणां प्रमाणत्वस्य न हि आत्मस्वरूपाधिगमे सति पुनः प्रमाण प्रमेय व्यवहारः संभवति प्रमातृत्वं हि आत्मनो निवर्तयति अन्त्यं प्रमाणं निवर्तयद एव च अप्रमाणी भवति स्वप्न काल प्रमाणम इव प्रबोधे लोके च वस्त्वधिगमे प्रवृत्ति हेतुत्वात् लोके च वस्त्वधिगमे प्रवृत्ति हेतुत्वादर्शनात् प्रमाणस्य तस्मात् न आत्मविदः कर्मणि अधिकार इति सिद्धम्. Supreme consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, after giving many verses on the self-control, culminates his teaching in the last verse, verse number 68. He culminates his teachings on the self-control topic in the last verse. And in this verse, Bhagwan continues from there and says, see Arjun, what is the level, what is the vision of a man who has exercised self-control throughout his life and reached the pinnacle of achievement of realizing the self as his own true self. Means what? Realizing that supreme consciousness is his true own self, and what he understood himself to be till now is not the correct understanding at all. So what Pujya Gurudev says, wake up to that state of consciousness, waking to which you will understand that all this life which you have lived till now was nothing but a dream. Like, in dream, when you are in dream state, you are absolutely engaged in action, and you have sukha and dukkha also, in sorrow and happiness and sorrow also there, because you are acting there. You have an individuality there, and whatever action, with you being the center, whether it is deriving happiness from something or getting sorrow from something, you are the one who are suffering there. But how long is your suffering in the dream? Only till you wake up. The moment you wake up, all that suffering which was there in your dream it ends instantly. It's not that after waking up it takes time for you to come out of that. Maybe there is an effect of that dream that you may remember it, but that happiness and sorrow which was there, which you were experiencing in that dream, ends instantly the moment you wake up. In the same way, the moment we wake up to that supreme consciousness, that eternal truth, that reality called Om, or the reality called the supreme consciousness, our true self, we will turn back and understand that all the life which I have led, not only in this life, all the lives I have led was nothing but a dream. That's what the state of a man of realization, Bhagwan Krishna, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, is pointing out here in the verse number 69. And that is the state we need to understand Bhagwan Shiva also as. Bhagwan Shiva is, there are many verses in Ramcharit Manas where Mother Parvati's Mother Parvati is given test to see if her tapas for gaining Lord Shiva is really fruitful or not. Sapta Rishis go to her and says that Mother Parvati, so sad that your entire penance is gone for waste, because for one whom you are doing this penance, he has already burned Kam Devta, and the Grahast ashram. What is the use of a Grahast ashram if there is no Kamna in there? So I'm sorry to say, Mother Parvati, that your or tapas has gone waste actually. Mother Parvati laughs at the Saptarishis, because that's the way they went to test Mother Parvati whether she is firm in her penance also or not to gain Lord Shiva. Mother Parvati says some line which is like, it's such an amazing line, the way it's been mentioned in Ramcharitmanas, the way Goswami Tulsidas ji has mentioned. Actually, it has come out of the heart of Bhagwan Shiva only. Hamare jaan Sada Shiv Jogi, Aj Anavadya Akam Abhogi. She says that line that, you think that Bhagwan Shiva till now was a Kami. This is what your understanding, Saptarishis, was. I'm sorry. According to me, Bhagwan Shiva was always a yogi. Yogi means he was Adi Yogi. He's always been the Yog Nidra. He was never a Kami. Aj Anavadya Akam Abhogi. He has always been, according to me. Aj means he's always been unborn. He's beyond on birth and death. Anavadya means there is nothing in him which is worth of being pointed out. There is nothing wrong in him. Anavadya means there is nothing in him which is not worthy of prayer, not worthy of worship. There is nothing in him like that. Akam abhogi, he's always been free from all kind of desires, and he's always been abhogi, free from all kind of enjoyership experiences, so to say. He's been above all those. So that's what Mother Parvati's vision of Bhagwan Shiva was. I told you, it's such a grace of Bhagwan Krishna, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, that this verse is coming after our Mahashivratri in 2025 only. That we could talk about Bhagwan Shiva and Mother Parvati. What kind of a holy wedlock that would have been, in which is celebrated on the day of Shivratri, and that day it is said that Bhagwan Shiva showed the nritya called Tandav to Mother Parvati. And I don't know how many of you know, from that nritya only the entire Sanskrit emanated. Entire Panini Shastra came from that Tandav only. The Damru sound which came from there, from that Panini Sutram came. And from that the entire Sanskrit it came out from there. So we don't understand and Bhagwan the way we need to actually understand. They are like far above our understanding. So Bhagwan Shiva, this is the state which is spoken about a yogi. Bhagwan, and Shankaracharya ji also in his Bhashya says, is very beautifully explained. I touched some aspects of it in the last session itself. We'll take it forward from there. So let's understand what this verse says. The first thing I told you about, one misconception about this verse, when we take the literal meaning, that is the danger we face most of the time. The literal meaning I explained to you last time also, I'm touching it so that we understand it better this time. That literal meaning we take is that, that which is night for everyone, it is daytime for a yogi. Yogi means for a guru, for a man of realization. And that which is daytime for all of us is a night for a yogi, which translates into what? Then our understanding will go like that, what? A man of realization is sleeping during the daytime and is awake during the night. This is what, if we take the literal meaning, that's the danger we will face. But that's completely incorrect. And that is why I told you, without understanding deeper into these verses, if we just take the literal meaning, we will reach nowhere in terms of understanding. Rather, we will reach a wrong understanding. We may end up misunderstanding our scriptures only. So I told you here, the way it has been explained is that which is night. Now listen to it very carefully. That which is ratri or night, it for all the beings, towards that. I'm just explaining you in the correct meaning. I'm telling you, towards that which is night for all the beings, or all the beings are sleeping towards which, towards that the man of realization or the man of self control is awake towards that. And that towards which all of us are sleep or awake, towards that all of us are awake, towards that the man of realization considers that as ratri, considers that as darkness, considers that as night. So that which is the, so if we just put the nutshell, that towards which all of us are constantly engaged in our waking state, towards that or that things, those things towards which we are completely engaged into action in our waking state, that a man of realization sees nothing but ignorance, nothing but darkness. Okay. And towards that all of us are sleeping, not the sleeping time talking we are talking about here, towards that which all of us are sleeping, and towards that this man of realization is completely awake and alert, completely awakened towards that. Now there are a couple of other things also which I want to bring out before I move forward. We must pause a little bit and try to think over these lines, that you will see in Sanatan Dharma that some of our festivals are Ratri, Shivratri, Navratri, and Janmashtami also. Bhagwan Krishna is born in midnight. So we need to technically think a little bit, use our thinking cap to understand why Shivratri is Ratri, Navratri is Ratri, is night, and Bhagwan Krishna is also born in the night. So that those lines we need to think upon. Now, let me just explain you from the worldly parlance first. Now, this term called night, or this part of the day called night, is a very auspicious arrangement done by the Creator to bless us all. Now I'm talking about the physical night here. When the sun sets, that night time I'm talking about. Here, even though it is termed with Ratri, Nisha, and the daytime, but here it is not referring to time. But I am explaining you from time first so that you understand the difference. Okay, there, even though it has been denoted with those terms which go for the timing of the day, of day and night, but they actually do not mean the time of the day. They're actually meaning something different, but they are denoted to understand. First you have to understand day and night for you to understand this verse. Now let's get back to day and night first. Let's understand that. Now in the daytime, we need to understand light is completely on. It means that forget about the time today when there is a lot of availability of LEDs and other kind of lighting arrangements. I'm not talking about that. Just leave that aside for a moment and think of day and night without the lights. Okay, the daytime there is abundance of light, because of sunlight, right? Abundance of sunlight, and because of which we can set out into action. And in the night time, there is absence of light. So the day and night you should divide as presence slash abundance of light and absence of light. I'm telling you these terms because I'm going to use those terms when I try to explain deeper into the meaning of this particular verse. But let's understand the timing of the day first. During the daytime, we are all set out into action, except those who are lazy and lethargic. I'm not talking about that. Generally, common man is set out into action during the daytime. And how long the man and man or woman or beings act, and it's not only for human beings, even for the animals and birds also is the same thing. All the beings set out into action during the daytime, and night time they all come back where their place or abode is, and they come back and relax. Why I said such a beautiful arrangement by the creator of day and night. During daytime we are tired because of our setting out into work and our hard work. So God has given us a time called night time where we all go to rest. Now see, catch the word rest. So night for us is a time to rest. And if we get into deep sleep during the night, and when we wake up the next day, we are fully energized, charged up and all set back to work, right? So night time is actually a time given to us for us to re-energize our equipments and organs. Okay, so that's the one thing we need to understand. And daytime is when we use our organs and equipments given to us to set out into karma and reap karma phala. And night time is a time of rest for re-energizing our equipments. Now let me just give you another example of the night for you to understand, because I'm going to explain it here also. Now see the beauty of this arrangement. However amount of sorrow we may be in, or however amount of enjoying happiness we may be in the daytime, in the night time it is completely absent, right? And if we get a peaceful sleep, if we get a good sleep, we will say what? Oh, I don't know what happened there, but I know one thing for sure. Sukhena maya nidra anubhuyate. I had a very peaceful sleep. Means what? Actual peace is objectless peace. Actual peace, right? In the night time, there is no object, there is no emotion, there is nothing there. I'm just going to sleep. Now, there is an intermediary step there for people from waking to deep sleep. There is an intermediary state also there, which is called a dream state. Okay. Now, remember one thing, the waking state and dream state are both state where my equipments are awake. Okay. Now, between waking and dream, what is the difference? This equipment called body is asleep, right? Now come back to BMI chart. From the BMI chart, the body is asleep, body is at rest, but my inner equipment called the M and I, including the ego and memory, they are completely active. Because they are active, even though there is no physical action, but still there is experience of happiness and sorrow. You get it? It is called subconscious state. So let's come to this way. Waking state is conscious state. Now I'm talking about not the self supreme consciousness here. Conscious, who is conscious here? My M and I with B, with the body, is completely awake and conscious here. In the dream state, my B goes for rest, but my M and I is completely conscious there. Now remember one more thing. Who actually requires rest? That's also a point. Yes, body also requires rest, but body never demands rest from you. Okay. The requirement of rest is actually for mind and intellect. Mind, intellect, ego, and memory. When I say mind and intellect, please take Antakarna Chatushtaya. The entire combination of four, which is Man, Buddhi, Chitta, and Ahankar. You should take all the four together. So, who requires rest? Rest is required by the Antakarna Chatushtaya to re-energize and come back to work the next day. But who is actually what you call that, enjoying or suffering the karma phala, enjoying or suffering, I put both for happiness and sorrow. That's why who is enjoying and suffering, it's the actual equipment called MNI. Yes, body suffering is limited to external injuries and things and all, but mind and intellect suffering is much deeper, by the way. So, even if a body may be injured, whether to suffer or not completely depends on the preparedness level of the MNI. That's why I gave you the example, no? For some people, same kind of illness can give different levels of sorrow to different people. Impact may be different for different people, even though the illness may be the same. That completely depends on the preparedness of MNI. Anyway, to come to that point, in the waking state, BMI are completely awake and conscious. In the dream state, MNI are awake and conscious. That is why we call it subconscious mind. We are at the subconscious level. And deep sleep, then that to say will be unconscious level. Now remember one thing, the unconscious level, when I say, I'm not talking about death here, I'm not talking about coma here, I'm not covering those things at all. That's a different discussion altogether. Let's not even take that up and completely take the into a different direction altogether. Now for this particular discussion, only three states we are discussing: in waking, dream, and deep sleep. So deep sleep state is called actually the time of rest for me. Now the Ratri for all of us is a time for rest. Then what do you mean by Shivratri, Navaratri, and why Bhagwan Krishna is born in the Ratri, in the midnight? Because there we are talking about a different Ratri altogether. Now coming back to this example, now for this particular Manan Shinvan Muni or Sanyami, which Bhagwan uses the word, a man of realization, towards which every being is acting and running into action and hard work, or so to say the waking state of engagement, that for that man of realization, he sees these as complete state of Ratri. Now Bhagwan Bhashyakar has done a very beautiful term of Ratri. In the Bhashya itself, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, and I told you, without Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Bhashya, some of these verses understanding will be very difficult. Unless and until we sit with a guru and take up Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Bhashya, we may not be able to understand. Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Ya Nisha Ratrihi. The word Nisha, which Bhagwan is mentioning here, is coined for the term called Ratri. Ratri means night. Now, what is Ratri? Now, see the beauty of Bhagwan Shankaracharya. Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Sarva Padarthanam Avivekakari. Now, let me come back to the dream, deep sleep, and the waking state here. Okay. Now, when you go for rest in the deep sleep state, see the beauty of the auspiciousness arrangement of Bhagwan's, the creator, for this particular, the way creation has been made. Now, Ratri or the night, when we go to deep sleep, it's not that the objects outside are destroyed. Objects are not destroyed. They only become incomprehensible by our senses. They go beyond the level of comprehension for us, or we cease to comprehend them. They become unavailable for our comprehension. Now just think for a while, why I said an auspicious arrangement done by the creator. Just think for a while, if we go into deep sleep, and the night or the sleep was a state when everything else which we work towards in the day must would have been getting destroyed, trust me, nobody of us will be able to sleep. Why we are able to sleep with peace? Because we know even when I am asleep also, the things outside are not getting destroyed by the creation. See, I'm not talking about the other kind of things. There are fraudsters and other working, I'm not talking about them. But as a general rule in the creation, my deep sleep doesn't destroy the objects and experiences outside. They only make them unavailable for comprehension to my equipments. Right? So when I wake up in the day, things are back there only. They are not that they are missing anywhere. They've not gone anywhere. I will see them in the same state I left last day, except that aging is a different thing altogether. I may sleep for 2 days and I wake up, then person may be 2 days old. I'm not talking about that. But I'm saying mostly from a comprehension perspective, they will be at the same level I left. So night has got this nature that it does not destroy object, it only makes it unavailable for comprehension of my senses. And that is exactly what Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is mentioned here. Sarva padarthanam avivekakari. I cease to comprehend any object, act, people, emotion, anything in this world when I'm asleep. So the nature of the night is what? It makes things unavailable for my comprehension. And then another beauty of Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, he says, what is the nature of Ratri? What is the nature of night? Tamas Swabhavatvat. So, that is another thing which I wanted to talk about. When we talk about the Triguna, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, Sattva is of the nature of light. Okay. Light, why? Because Sattva is required for us to gain knowledge. Sattva is required for us to understand things clearly. Sattva is required for us to understand things in its correct nature. Sometimes we say, I'm so sorry, I misunderstood so and so. Why did you misunderstand so and so? You were not in the sattvic nature at that time, neither you had the required faith, nor you made the required effort. That is why you did not understand things correctly. Remember one thing, things are the way things are, but many a times the problem is in our understanding. We don't understand things the way they need to be understood because the problem is within us, and we try to superimpose that the problem is outside. Actually, the problem is within us only. So tamas swabhavat means the rajas, the nature of rajas is it pushes us into action. To act, you need rajas. To think, you need sattva. So sattva is the nature of light, and rajas is of the nature of heat in the sense to work, to work hard, to run after things. So that is how we should put rajas into. Then tamas is of the nature of darkness. When we say darkness means during tamas there is a very high possibility that either we will not understand or we will understand it completely incorrect. That is the nature of tamas. So for example, I'm giving you an example. All of us have gone through the study life. There are times when we sit down to study and not even a thing enters our head. We may have crossed over 4 or 5 pages, but we feel that I've understood nothing. That's when I say, what, let me close the book and sleep. I'll get up tomorrow morning and study. I'm not in a state of studying. State means what? I'm in the state of tamas, and that state is required for us every day to go to sleep. Without tamas you cannot sleep. Now just think, in the time when in the night, I'm just giving you example the way some people's guna works. You should know, if you are thinking too much about the action, you are definitely going to impact your sleep. You say that I had so many things on my head that I just could not sleep, because rajas did not let you gain tamas for you to go to sleep. That is why I said, the way Bhagwan has created this creation, there is a amazing beauty in this whole setup actually. Only thing is we have to understand it correctly. Anyway, tamas swabhavatvat. Tamas swabhavatvat means it's the nature, it's of the nature of darkness. Nature of darkness means what? Another example I'm giving you for you to understand this correctly. Think of a time I told you, leave aside today's setup of LEDs and availability of light and all those things. Okay, even if let's take the example of light only now. For example, you are sitting with your entire family in your drawing room and there is some discussion going on, and suddenly the light goes off, or light gets disconnected, or the light goes off from the back, and there is pitch darkness in your drawing room. You will tell all of the people sitting there, what? Listen, there is pitch darkness, don't get up. Why you should not get up? Because if you get up, you may end up banging yourself against a table or chair or wall, and you may hurt yourself. So please be seated where you are. What happens at that time? Now think of the nature of the night. The night does not destroy any object. In this example itself, the moment the room became pitch dark, the comprehension of the objects lying in the room became unavailable for my senses. Right? Table was there. It did not, the darkness did not destroy the table, the chair, the television, the things lying in the drawing room. Only thing which was obstructed was my comprehension of the difference of the objects lying in the room. In the light, what I was doing, I was comprehending table as table, chair as chair, television as television, people as people. Everything lying in the room was being comprehended with its respective difference of different objects. As different objects, I was comprehending them. Right? So the darkness did not destroy anything. Darkness made the comprehension of the objects unavailable for my senses. Because of the darkness, what happened? These objects which are lying in the room, in the same example which I gave you, they became unavailable for my senses, and I'm not able to know them with their difference. That is why Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji named this Avivekakari. It's of the nature of ignorance. Things are lying there, but I am ignorant about them. Why? Because darkness has covered their comprehension. Means what? Darkness has covered the nature of knowing them for me. It's not destroyed the object, yes. And then what will you understand Vivek as? When we comprehend objects, things, people, and emotion with their respective differences, that is what should be known as Viveka, or wisdom, or knowledge, so to say. Understood? So what happens? This night or darkness actually obstructs the comprehensive availability of the objects with this required difference. In the light of knowledge, we are able to grasp every object with its respective difference and understanding. And when that availability is not there, that is what is termed as aviveka, or ignorance. Because there is a commonality in the property of ignorance and nisha or ratri. I'm not nisha is somebody's name also, I'm not talking about that here. Nisha means post sunset time, you should call as nisha, so to say. So nisha here means is after the sunset. So what happens is, because there is a commonality of property between the nature of ignorance and darkness, that is why Bhagwan has given the example of Ratri here. So we should understand and Nisha or Ratri in that same light. Now, just translate it back to us. What is the state of awaking and what is the state of sleep, which is pointed out here by Bhagwan? What is the non-comprehension of difference which is currently happening for all of us common people, which is not happening for the man of realization? That is the difference between drashta and drishya, the seer and the seen. Remember, the seer and seen is always available in its full glory, in its full light, and it's always available to all of us. But what is unavailable? The comprehension of it is unavailable. That's why that state is being coined by Bhagwan as Nisha or Ratri here in this particular verse. For us, what is the state now? We are able to see things. We are able to see drishya, but drishta is not available to us. And we think what? Drishta is unavailable. But remember one thing, drishta, the supreme consciousness, the seer, the self, is always available in its full pristine glory. And remember, I'm telling you one more thing here. Drishta is available even when the scene is there or even when the scene is not there. So I'm talking about what? See again, Bhagwan Shiva. So today's episode, I told you, without bringing about Bhagwan Shiva's memory, you cannot even think about that. Bhagwan Shiva's one role is Pralaya Karta. And Pralaya Karta means what? This creation, please remember, always is manifest and goes into an unmanifest state. When it goes into unmanifest state, that is what is called Pralaya. So in this cycle of creation, it will always be there that the creation will come into manifestation, will go into unmanifest. So sthiti pralaya, srishti sthiti pralaya is what we call between Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. But when we talk about the entire creation, the creation comes into srishti, sthiti, and then goes into pralaya. Then again it comes back into Srishti, Sthiti and Pralaya. This cycle continues. So we all Jiva, those of us who have not realized, is by the time the Pralaya comes, there are many kinds of Pralaya. I'm not taking up that example now. So, okay, since I've taken it up, so might as well take it up now only. The Mrityu, which we call, the death we see today, is what you call that, is part of a Pralaya of this body. But that pralaya is not the pralaya I'm talking about. That's a periodic pralaya which keeps happening in death of the body, and then a new body is given, then another death of the body and new body is given. So that cycle continues. But there is another pralaya of Srishti that after a particular period in time, the entire creation goes into unmanifest state, remains in unmanifest state for a particular point in time, and then comes back. Now the point I was trying to bring up here was, even when this seen world goes into pralaya, drishta remains, or the self supreme consciousness remains, the creator remains. Remember, when I use the word for Bhagwan Shiva, aja means unborn. Unborn means what? Even when this srishti is there or not, Bhagwan Narayan and Bhagwan Shiva is there. And even when this Srishti comes back also, they are there. So remember one thing, Drishta or the self or the supreme consciousness, there is never a point in time when they are not available, when it is not available. But the thing is, so that is about the creator I'm talking about. Even when it is available now amongst the seen world, we do not comprehend the seer. We do not comprehend the supreme consciousness. When the state of supreme consciousness is, it is more present than even the seen world. But alas, we cannot comprehend it at all. Another example I want to bring out is, it's a very good time for me to bring out something from the BMI chart here. So just see BMI chart for a while and consider it this way. Consider, it's very easy for us to understand because we are in a tech world these days. There is something called a cloud. No, I'm not talking about the technical cloud. It's understandable easily for people now, but I'm talking about the cloud here in the creation. When you see, when the cloud is there, so below the cloud is what in the BMI chart is B, M, and I, and the things below it. So, for example, let's take the simile of the cloud now. Vasana happens to be the cloud. Above the cloud is the supreme consciousness Om. Now, since it is above the cloud, BMI cannot see it, right? It is beyond our comprehension. Let's understand it that way. When can we comprehend that? When can we comprehend things above the cloud? Only when we take a flight and go above the cloud, right? What is the state of going above the cloud? That is what the seat of meditation is all about. What is being generally taught, and so I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about the deep meditation or samadhi. That is when we cross above it, which is what I mentioned by Puja Gurudev's word: wake up into that state of reality, waking up towards which you will see all the other things as dream. So when you go above the cloud, things below you are very, very small. Even the house which was so big, in which I was staying, I was living, I was enjoying staying in that, even that house also, when you go above the cloud, seems like a matchbox. In the same way, when one goes above the cloud, those emotions which were keeping me engrossed becomes like a very small and minuscule. I'm just trying to show you that level which my guru has really taught me, and I've seen my guru being in that level, so I'm telling you that. So what is the state right now here? What is that which is non comprehensible by us now? The Even though the drishta and drishya both are available, but I'm not able to see the drishta right now. I'm not able to comprehend the difference between the drishta, and I'm not able to comprehend differently the drishta and drishya right now. I'm only able to comprehend. That is why I am right now, or we common man in the current state is in what? Ignorance state of aviveka. Which means what? Or which means what? Right now it is night for all of us. Why? Because we are not able to comprehend the difference between drishta and drishya right now. Na? So even though there is a lot of light outside, I'm able to comprehend objects and things outside clearly with difference, but it is ratri for me right now. Why? Because I'm not able to comprehend two things differently. What is that? Jagat and Brahman. Brahma Jagat. Brahma, not Brahma. I'm not talking about Brahman. Brahman means the supreme consciousness. I'm not able to comprehend differently. I'm not able to decipher. I'm not able to bifurcate right now between the created and the creator. Jagat, which is world, which is created, and Brahman, which is creator or the supreme consciousness, even though they both are available right now. Okay, and so that means, what is the property of a night? That there are things lying with their respective differences, but I am not able to comprehend the differences. That is why it is called Ratri. Because of this nature of night, avidya or ignorance is also called as night for all of us. And currently, we are ignorant. We are in ignorance. I'm just giving you one example which I told you before also. When Pujya Gurudev went to Swami Shivananji and asked for an appointment, and Pujya Gurudev told Swami Shivananji that, oh, I am an educated man. You are telling me to come tomorrow. I don't have so much of time. So at that time, Swami Shivananji told Pujya Gurudev just because you know how to read and write and you have some degrees barely make you literate, not educated come tomorrow. So what we currently understand between degrees and the kind things which are given to us and passed on to us as today, and we take pride in them, actually they are all in the state of ignorance only. So yes, within ignorance we may be PhD also, doesn't matter. Within ignorance we may be double doctorate also. But remember, in the actual sense, in the sense of scriptures, we are all in the state of ignorance. Because of that, Ratri or the night is termed, which is darkness, where we are not able to comprehend the difference between the things. Because of that, at the state of avidya or ignorance of the self is also coined with the term called ratri. So means what is the understanding of ratri? Ignorance or not having knowledge is also ratri, and aviveka, not having wisdom about the eternal reality, is also termed under the thing called ratri. Now, then there are a couple of questions which should come into our mind. And what is the ignorance, about which subject we are ignorant? What is the subject of ignorance for all of us? What is the thing which is unavailable for or the entire world of beings? What is that? That is what Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has mentioned in the next part of his bhashya, the second para of his bhashya. He himself asks, Kim tat? What is this Ratri or what is this Avidya? Sarvesham Bhutanam Sarvabhutanam Tamasvabhavatvat Avivekari Sarvapadarthanam. What is this? So he says there, Paramartha Tattvam, that which is the eternal reality, supreme consciousness, which he coins as another word called Sthita Prajnasya Vishaya, that which is the subject of study of a Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna means man of realization, a man of firm wisdom. So that Paramartha Tattvam, that eternal reality, which is what, and now I'm giving you another term here. So just hear this. Those people who know Vedanta, they may understand this term. What is that Paramartha Tattvam? What is that eternal reality? What is the nature of that reality? It is absolute, what do you call that? Existence, consciousness, bliss, Satchidanand, Sakshat Aparoksh Satchidanand, which is expressing itself as our own self, Pratyag Atma, which is always available. I told you already, even when the Srishti is there or when the Srishti goes into Pralaya, that time also it is always available, towards which the entire world of beings are sleeping, which towards which entire world of beings are unaware about. They are roaming around unaware about. Now, this term, since I told you, there are three ways to know things. Pratyaksha, I'm telling you a Vedantic term. I'm not explaining now, I'll explain in some other context, but I'm just telling you because I've used the term here. Pratyaksha, Paroksha, and Aparoksha. Okay, Pratyaksha means the way the word comes. Akshan Prati means that which is in front, which is comprehended, physically by my senses. Akshan Prati means, actually Akshan means eyes, but etc. You should know that which is comprehended by my five senses directly is called Pratyaksha. Which comes in direct comprehension of my five senses is called Pratyaksha. That's one way of knowing things. The second thing is Paroksha, that which is not seen by Pratyaksha Praman, but that which is seen by other kind of Pramana like Anuman and and those kind of Pramana, which is not directly comprehended by my five senses, but can be known by other sources of knowledge. Like that is what comes under called Paroksha. Okay, Akshan Para. that which is not in front of my five senses. It is beyond the five senses, but I can comprehend with other sources of knowledge. Anumana, Upameya, there are other different pramanas which are there. And, those pramanas are available for comprehension of those things which are paroksha. Now, in the matter of Satchidanand or the eternal reality or the self, that is aparoksha. In its complete glory, in its complete understanding, it cannot be known by any form of pramana. What then Veda and all other pramanas do for self-knowledge? They only, what you call that, tell you to decipher that which is non-self, remove that non-self, what is left is the self. They try to negate that which you have understood as self. By negation technique, they show you the self. That's why it is so said that self is something which cannot be described in its full pristine glory. You have to realize it. What Guru does by the way of negation which our Vedas do, Upanishads do, Shruti, Smriti, and our Pramanas do, Brahma Sutra, etc. do, is that by the way of negation, that which is not self, which can be known by Paroksha and Pratyaksha, negate that, then what is left is the self. So it is completely available, but the entire world of being is for the entire world of being, they're either sleeping towards it or they're completely ignorant towards it. And what is the meaning of the world that they are sleeping towards it? That they are not able to grasp it within their understanding ambit. This Pratyagatma, this eternal reality, this supreme consciousness is always available. In Hastamalaka Stotram it comes, Sanityo Upalabdhi Swarupo Hamatma, Sanityo Upalabdhi Swarupo Hamatma. That which is always available to all of us, irrespective of caste, creed and religion. I'm using the term why? Because Sanatan Dharma addresses everyone. I told you, Sanatan Dharma cannot be coined as religion only. All others can be coined as religion, but Sanatan Dharma is applicable to everyone. Everyone. Across board, irrespective of caste, creed and religion. Anyway, so Bhagwan says, is that, we are not able to comprehend it, even though it is completely available in its full pristine glory. It's not that its glory is less sometime, more sometime. No, but even though it is available in its full pristine glory, but this entire world of beings are sleeping towards it. There is one beautiful example which my Puja Guruji Swami Subhadan used to give, which I must explain you here also. Just think of a time when you are probably traveling in a flight. Okay, you are traveling in a flight and some great personality was sitting next to you, a Mahapurush. Now, great personality is the way you understand, but I'm saying some realized saint was sitting next to you, must be traveling somewhere, but we don't know him, know that person. So what happened then? What will be, when you deboard the flight, somebody may tell, do you know so and so was also in your flight? And you say, is it? Who is this so and so? Then he shows you the photo, he's the so and so. Oh my God, he was sitting right next to me, man. He was sitting next to you. Then, my God, but I was unaware of his presence. I was unaware of his greatness. Means what? I was sleeping towards his greatness. I was sleeping towards the glory of this particular person. He says, man, he was sitting next to you. You were so lucky. And alas, what a great miss. You did not even recognize him. You did not even take benefit of he being near to you. Then you will have to accept the fact that I was completely unaware of his presence. I was not alert towards his presence. I was unaware of the glory and greatness of this presence. In the same way, that is the same thing which is happening with us when we talk about the Supreme Consciousness, Bhagwan Krishna. Bhagwan Krishna also, I should say this way, for the Bhakti Samaj and for us, we may celebrate it Janmashtami and we may say that Bhagwan winded up his Leela and went back. But trust me, even when he was here, even when he is not here, so to say, in that form, it is never been there when he was not present in this cosmos, with us, next to us, in us, and outside us. It's never been there. Bhagwan Krishna has been completely available even in Dwapar Yuga also, in Satya Yuga also, in Treta Yuga also, in Kali Yuga also. The only problem is we are sleeping towards him. We are unaware of him. Those people who grow in bhakti, they start to feel his presence around them. And they say that, I don't know, I somehow feel that he is with me. I somehow feel that he is around me. I somehow feel that he protects me. That even a bhakta knows. Even though the bhakta may not be able to see it completely yet, but he starts feeling that, yes, I can feel his presence around me. I can feel that, he's around me, so to say. So in the same way, Bhagwan Krishna, the eternal supreme consciousness, is always available. The problem is we common people are sleeping towards him. And what is the difference between us and the jnani or the man of realization? The man of realization is fully conscious and awake towards him. Because he is awake towards him, so he is for sleeping towards us. He's sleeping towards us doesn't mean that when you interact, he may look here and there, may not even see you. That's not what the meaning is. Don't understand it that way, okay? I just told you from Bhagavad about Bhagwan Shiva. Saesha Loka Guru, Jnani Nam Sabhapati, is always surrounded by Jnani. And the Sankalpa of Ardhanarishwar, where it's half Bhagwan Shiva and half Mother Parvati, Ma Amba Bhavani, because I told you, what is a guru who is devoid of Brahma Vidya? So always, Guru will always have Brahma Vidya on his lap. Means what? That's a picture form. But half him, what? Bhagwan Shiva also has interaction with people. Now just think another thing, because we just had Shivratri. Whenever we, people sing about the Bharat or the marriage procession of Bhagwan Shiva, they talk about Bhagwan Shiva's Bharati being, or the people who are following the marriage procession of Bhagwan Shiva being aghori people, and strange kind of beings, and all those kind of things, bichu, sarpa. That kind of a description is there in Ramcharitmanas also, but that is not our correct understanding. You remember one thing, Bhagwan or Guru, if it's somebody is a real Guru, remember his first stage will be he is Sarvatyakta Ishvara also. He is available to those people who have been given up by others. For him, he is available to everyone. So when in the marriage procession, when these kind of beings went to Bhagwan Shiva and said, Bhagwan, there is a small desire in all of us. Nobody takes us for any kind of marriage because they all fear from our different forms and things and all. We request you, will you take? Bhagwan Shiva said, no problem, come to my marriage. And that's a huge story behind it. Sometime when I take Ramcharitmanas, I'll bring it up. It's a very beautiful way to bring it up also. Now, but the thing is, Bhagwan is Sarvatyakta Ishvara. Bhagwan is a Ishvara of everyone. In Rudram, it is Rudram and Chamakam, it says, Stenanam Pataye Namaha. Bhagwan is what? That even the Ishvara, even the god of Stenanam. Stenanam means thieves and robbers also. So, that's the way we have to understand Bhagwan Shiva. For him, there is no being who's been given up. That is why one of the name of Bhagwan Shiva is Ashutosha. He's it's very easy to, oh, Bhagwan gets pleased very easily. Easily doesn't mean that you'll get pleased with any nonsense thing. Also, that's not what I mean. But yes, Bhagwan is so karunamay that Karpura Gauram Karunavataram. I just said in my prayer itself, he is the epitome of Karuna compassion. He is an epitome of compassion. He never rejects anyone, he accepts everyone. That is the state of the actual Guru. So here the man of realization is completely awake towards that. That is why I'll say Om Namah Shivaya. Anyway, so towards which the entire world of beings is sleeping, this man of realization is completely awake, completely alert, completely conscious of that all the time. Even when he is comprehending us, he does not lose comprehension, he does not lose sight of the eternal truth, eternal reality, because towards that, this man of realization is completely awake, and this never loses his vision at all. He is always aware, he is always awakened to the consciousness of the actual eternal reality. Now the point is Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji also says, all the beings are not always sleeping. Bhutani Jagrati Yasyam. All the beings are, it's not that all the beings are sleeping all the time. That's not the correct thing, right? The entire world of beings are awake. They are awake towards what? Awake towards the world of beings and things and emotions. And this state of awaking is such, I'll explain you. My Puja Guruji used to say it very beautifully. The state of our awaking is such that, even when we go to sleep, a cent of us should not be cheated by anyone. I'm so much protective of my things and my money and my beings that I refuse to budge out even a penny. I don't want to let anyone steal me. And in today's world, it becomes so true. I'll tell you, with the sudden rise of scammers and fraudsters and God knows what all the kind of world it is going now, more difficult than earning is actually protecting what we have. It's become such a state actually. So if somebody steals even a penny from us, other people will ask us, what? Were you sleeping? That is the sleeping which Bhagwan is talking about here. Our entire alertness, our entire vigilance, our entire awaking is towards this world of objects and beings and our act. Towards the world of objects, and I will use the word Einsteinian world of time, space, and object, of how our Puja Gurudev used to say, towards the Einsteinian world of time, space, and object, we are completely awake, alert, and vigilant. And towards the eternal truth and reality or supreme consciousness, we all are in complete deep sleep. Towards the eternal Paramartha Tattvam, we are completely in deep state. Towards the things which we are completely awake, alert, and vigilant, towards that a man of realization, he sees them as an act of night only. He sees that as a bundle of ignorance only. Towards that, the man of realization is not alert so much. He's not alert doesn't mean that he keeps falling here and there. That's not what you mean to. That's not what you should understand. Means what? It doesn't come in his ambit of action, so to say. He doesn't have to be alert and aware towards that. That alertness and aware, Bhagwan himself takes care for him. And that is what Bhagwan said, na ananyas chintayanto mam yejarav paryupasate tesham nitya abhyuktanam yogatshemam aham vahami. He's already placed himself in the eternal reality, the supreme consciousness called God, called Bhagwan Krishna, called Bhagwan Shiva. He's already completely awakened towards that, because of which he does not have to worry about the other things, about those things which we are worried as a common man. So, what is the meaning we should understand? What is the meaning we should decipher from this? Towards which we should all be completely alert, we should be completely awake, to which we should give actual importance in life. Towards that only a man of realization or a jnani has got importance in his life about. That which needs to be given importance only should be given importance, and those things which does not need to be given importance in our life, towards that how and why should we even have that mahatva buddhi, or the thought of importance towards this. In this state of ignorance, what happens is, those things which does not need to be given the state of importance in our intellect, we end up giving importance to those things only. And that which needs to be given importance to, which needs to be given its own pristine glory towards those, we actually end up giving no importance at all. We end up running after unimportant things in life, and in the midst of running after unimportant things in life, by the time our life comes to an end, the important thing only gets left behind, and the unimportant things which we chased in our life, they anyway are not going to go with us afterwards. That which is supposed to go with us into the next life, that remains completely far from us, and we end up looking at the life as a mere wastage of another life also. In this state of ignorance, that is what happens. We end up giving importance to all the unimportant things in life, and the important thing which is there for a human life to be spent upon, to be invested in, that gets missed out, and our life comes to an end of the circle, and we end up saying to ourselves only, and the people also say, good luck to you in the next life. Now, what is the state of waking state of ignorant people? Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has mentioned in his Bhashya, Yasyam Grahya Grahaka Bheda Lakshanayam Avidyayam Nishayam Bhutani Jagriti Prasuptani Eva. They are currently actually sleeping only, but they think that they are completely awake. Why? Because the time they are awake, they think it is the time to hoard and collect. I should collect as many things as possible because I am the collector, and this is the time of collection. Grahya Grahaka Bheda Lakshanayam. Beautifully Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji said, because this is the time when these different kind of things to be collected and hoarded are available. In the night when the shops shut, these things will become unavailable, so might as well utilize the time of day to collect them. That is why they must think that why is Bhagwan saying such a really strange thing and calling it as Ratri. Bhagwan is calling it as Ratri or Nisha because the property of a night, or the property of post sunset time, is currently happening here. It's currently established here, because this is what it is, the time of complete ignorance. That is why it is being coined with a term called night, when the things are not at are understood in its correct difference. Even in the dream state also, you can see the difference between the one who is acting and that which is acted upon. Grahya grahaka, the collector and the collected. The difference you can see in the dream state also. That thing is available there. Still, even though a person may be dreaming, a person who's looking from outside at, a person sleeping and dreaming, you will say what? Oh, this man is sleeping only, right? For you, he is sleeping, right? Even though he's actually dreaming now, but from outside it is visible that he's sleeping. You don't know that he's dreaming inside, but he's completely acting in his dream, completely running around, sweating and toiling in his dream, experiencing the ups and downs of life and sorrows and happiness of life. But externally to you, he looks like what? Oh, he's sleeping. That is how a man of realization sees us also. Like, we when we see a person and lying down and dreaming, but we say that he's sleeping, that's the same way man of realization sees us. Oh, he may be thinking that he is completely awake and all those things, but I know, oh, he's actually dreaming only right now. He's actually in the waking state. He's actually sleeping only right now. He's, even though he considers himself dreaming, Swamiji, I'm doing this, Swamiji, I'm doing that, and all those things, and oh, because of that, he's currently, for a man of realization, he's sleeping only, even though he's acting the way we see a man dreaming doing that. Being completely aware and conscious towards the actions of the daytime, um, since the person is like that, but being ignorant towards the eternal reality, that is why, for or a man of realization, this person is actually in the state of night only, is currently sleeping only. Then what is the core or understanding of this particular verse? How we should understand this is verse actually, that a man of realization is completely awake and alert towards the supreme consciousness, the eternal reality, supreme consciousness, Bhagwan Krishna. And a man, or ignorant man, a man of ignorance, is actually completely unaware and unconscious towards that. A man of ignorance or an ignorant man is completely awake and alert towards the world of time, space, and objects, whereas a man of realization considers that as a state of night only. For a man of realization, and those actions are completely covered with ignorance. They are in the state of ignorance only. They are in the state of ignorance only, and all that act is ignorant act only. That's why Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, Sa Nisha Eva. It is completely established in ignorance, and it is in the form of ignorance only. This is what the vision of a man of realization and is. In the further part of Bhashya, even though it is long, there is a point which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji brings up, which I want to bring out to you, in not in the correct, in the complete meaning, so to say, because that may not be, understandable right now for everyone, but I'll try to bring out the deeper meaning of it for you to understand. What Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says is, we need to understand from the Bhashya, which is Atah Karmani Avidyavasthayam Eva Chodyante Na Vidyavasthayam. Means what? Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says, which means what? It is established that the law of karma, the law of action, or I will be required to act only in the state of ignorance and not in the state of knowledge of, not in the state of knowledge of supreme consciousness. Knowledge means experience of supreme consciousness. Means what? The law of karma binds only the ignorant, not the man of realization. That is what he wants to establish here in the further thing. He says, Vidyayam hi satyam udite savitari sharvam iva tamaf pranamasham upagacchati avidya. Like just as when the sun rises, and when the moment the sun rises, what sunrise does, it dispels the darkness of the night. In the same way, when the light of knowledge rises in a person, it dispels the darkness of ignorance which had covered the inner equipment of this person till the time the knowledge rises. He says, प्राग विद्योत्पत्ते अविद्या प्रमाण बुद्ध्या गृह्यमाणा क्रिया कारक फल भेद रूपा सती सर्व कर्म हेतुत्वम प्रतिपद्यते. Before the dawn of knowledge in a person, whatever knowledge about actions in the world was gathered or was gained by this person, and they were all before the dawn of the knowledge of reality, before the dawn of the knowledge of the self knowledge, before the dawn of self knowledge, whatever knowledge was gathered by a person with the praman buddhi means with the thought that these are the source of knowledge for me, they are in the form of ignorance only. Why? They will split into triputi means kriya karaka phala bheda rupa. They will all set out into action, and I will be the one who will be required to act, and also I will be the one to bear the fruit of those actions. And before this dawn of self knowledge, yes, those were the source of knowledge for me, and that has set me out into action. And now the moment the dawn of knowledge happens to me with the correct source of the actual knowledge about the supreme consciousness, those which I had given pramana buddhi earlier as the source of knowledge, they will become now what? Apraman for me, because they did not give me self knowledge, they give me knowledge of the actions. Because us now they become apramana buddhi, and now they become redundant knowledge for me. That's why those knowledge will no longer remain effective for me, and I don't need to act according to them at all. Pramana bhutena vedena मम चोदितम कर्तव्यम कर्म इति ही कर्मणि कर्ता प्रवर्तते न अविद्या मात्रम इदम सर्वम निशा इव इति. That's what I just mentioned before. Because I had given an pramana buddhi, I have actually considered them as the source of knowledge. So whatever I gained before the dawn of self knowledge in me, I had acted according to them, and I was bound by the law of karma, as expounded by them, and I got into those actions before the dawn of knowledge. Since they were all in the state of ignorance of the self, they all will be considered as ratri only, avidya matram. They will all be considered as knowledge of ignorance only, even though they are knowledge in the external world, but they are actually at the state of ignorance only. Yasya punaha nisha iva avidya matram idam sarvam bhedajatam iti ज्ञानम तस्य आत्मज्ञस्य सर्वकर्म संन्यासे एव अधिकार न प्रवृत्तो. The one who has got the correct knowledge about the self and has worked towards converting it into his own experience, then all those knowledge which was gained by him before the dawn of the knowledge of self supreme consciousness, they will all become like the night, and they will all remain as the part of knowledge of ignorance only. They are at the state of ignorance only. They are at the level of ignorance, the knowledge of non-self only. Let me just decipher it that way rather than the ignorance. So there are two parts of knowledge. One is knowledge of the self, and one is knowledge of the non-self. They will all, what I gained before the dawn of knowledge of the self, they were all be coined as the knowledge of non-self. Since they are the knowledge of non-self, they will all be coined into the term of ignorance only, avidya only. And once the knowledge of the self dawns in that person, then all those actions which were emanating from the knowledge of non-self, they will become redundant for this person. Why? Because the moment the knowledge of self dawns, then this person's adhikara or right is in the Sarva Karma Sannyasa, which is what Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji mentions here. This person, then the moment the dawn of knowledge of self happens within him and he works towards making it the experience, immediately from that point in time, his right or his arena will be of Sarva Karma Sannyasa, of giving up all kinds of actions. All kinds of actions. He does not have any kind of adhikara. He does not have to go through any kind of pravritti at all. Pravritti means, so I told you in the initial part when I took up Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji's Sambandha Bhashya about the preface about Bhagavad Gita, there also I spoke about Divido hi Vedokto Dharmaha Pravrittischa Nivrittischa. There are only two kind of dharma as expounded by Veda, pravritti and nivritti. One is of the nature of pravritti. Pravritti means action. And one is of the nature of giving up of actions. So there are two kind of dharma which is expounded by Vedas. So the moment a dawn of self-knowledge happens within this person, his right shifts from the pravritti to nivritti. He does not have to act at all. He can move ahead with sannyasa in his life. That is what is mentioned here actually. Tatra, then he says, Tatacha darshayati tad buddhis tadatmana. It has also been pointed out in Shruti also, in Bhagavad Gita also, that ityadinam jnana nisthayam eva tasya adhikaram. His adhikara, this person's adhikara, once the dawn of knowledge happens, is right is only on the jnana nisthayam, to establish in the true self. He does not need to run after any kind of actions at all. Tatra api pravartaka pramana bhave pravartya anupapattihi iti chet. Then Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Bhashya has got a different style altogether. That then now he brings Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha means the opposite side. Purva Paksha asks him question, how? What are you talking about? But in the Jnana Nishtha also, for a man of knowledge, of the one in whom the dawn of self knowledge has happened, and he is also dependent on pramana for his things, then the pramana is actually going to get him into pravritti. So even that book of knowledge, Veda only, Upanishad is part of Veda only, na. So from there only he got the knowledge. He got the knowledge of the self also from there. He got the knowledge of the karmakand also from there. So then how is it possible the way you are saying it? Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, no, this is not right. Why? Swatma Vishayatvad Atma Jnanasya. What is the subject matter of a man of realization? The subject matter of man of realization is the nature of his own self. He's not gone to search something outside. He's not gone to look for or find something outside. Self is not to be found outside. We have to realize the self which is within us. Then only we can realize the self which is around us, right? The same self which is within us only is around us. Since it is of the nature of, this knowledge is of the nature of making you aware of your own self. That is why as a pravritti you cannot give up this knowledge, that so to say, even though while getting the knowledge it is pravritti only, gaining knowledge is pravritti only, you cannot give up this at that point in time also, or you cannot give up this, because it is trying to make you aware of your own self. It is not trying to make you know anything outside. Okay, so that's what is Bhagwan Shankaracharya is trying to say from his Bhashya here. Bhagwan Shankaracharya explains it very clearly. Lot of people outside has got lot of importance for given to action, and the moment some people look at sannyasis, they think what kind of a waste of human life it is. I gave you one example in one of my podcasts. Puja Swami Vivekanand ji was going to US to deliver his speech about the consciousness and Sanatan Dharma. in the world parliament of religion, and a young guy was going to do medical degree there, and he looked down upon Swami Vivekanand ji, and Swami Vivekanand ji had this long conversation, and that you are going through all these for a different goal. I have already gained that which is the actual goal of human being, circling life after life. If I've already known that goal, there is no point in me doing further any action at all. So that people usually in the world, they give too much importance to action. The moment they see that somebody is not acting, they start to look down upon, I am acting, he's sitting idle, what kind of a waste of life it is. That's not how it is. There are two sets of people here, one whose dharma is pravritti and another one's dharma is nivritti. Because you have not got that qualification, you have to act. That person has got the qualification already passed through all those things, so he's gone into nivritti already. So that is the kind of people which we have. But Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji brings it out very differently here. Since people give importance to karma, they talk about expansion of the work. I used to have one business, now I own 6, and they glorify it that way also. Means what? You would have been busy with one till now you have no time for yourself, you have only time for these 6, and you are trying to glorify that. And because that's how they understand, and because they have mahatva, importance given to expansionist kind of thought about in the world. The more I expand, that is the sign of success. That is a wrong thinking. Expansion is not only horizontally, there is a vertical expansion also. Horizontal expansion is part of your karma phala, by the way. If you act, you will get it. You have a karma phala there, you will get it also. But the vertical expansion is something which is only possible for a rare few, by the way. And Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji brings it out in his Vivek Chudamani also. Jantunam narajanma durlabhamatah param pumstvam tato viprata tasmat vaidika dharma marga parata vidvatvam asmat param. Atma anatma goes like that. And the verse goes like that. I'll bring it up some other time when we get into that particular thing. So here, that kind of an importance is the sign of ignorance only. And for a man who is not with wisdom means the wisdom of the self, knowledge of the self, it is natural that such kind of thought process come, and they'll point out like that. For the one who sees all those gamut of action, all those ambit of action towards which the entire world is juggling around and running around and sweating and toiling, the one who sees that as a state of darkness, as a state of ignorance, for such a person, and his right, his arena is naturally going to be nivritti only, because his right is into that. Now just think for one thing, for a man sees something as night only, and on the other side he is going to give importance also. That is not something which a jnani will do ever. Many a times a jnani may act in the world in different dimensions, but that is only his leela. For only some time he may end up doing that, but in reality, totally a jnani will not be, a man of realization will never be completely engaged with the world at all. His engagement will be off and on. You should see a jnani, his engagement will be very limited, as required by people and beings around him. He will be available, but his availability is only limited to the requirement of the other people. He will not go and engage himself into anything. Actually, that's the level of a jnani. That's why Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji completes his bhashya, says pramatritvam hi atmano nivarteti antyam pramanam. The final pramana, actually what is the level of what is the level a final pramana will make us reach, that we are able to relieve ourselves of being a pramata. He says antyam pramatritvam, it will relieve us of being a pramata. That it will end the difference of Triputi. It will end the Triputi. Pramata, Prameya, and Pramana. I told you about the Triputi here. Uh, and by relieving it forever, by making it Nivritta, uh, you know, and the moment it becomes Nivritta, it goes, and the man awakens into the state of supreme consciousness. Even that at Triputi gaining or Pramana Prameya Vyapar which happened of gaining knowledge and all those things, that also will be seen by this man of realization as a dream state only. It will seem to him that I gained knowledge in the dream state only. It means what? That state, even those things will completely end forever. Lokecha vastu adigame pravritti hetutva darshanat pramanasya. He says that in the worldly actions also, we see that a pramana, a proof of knowledge, is helpful only till the time we gain something, we gain an object or things. The moment we gain an object or we gain that thing, that pramana loses its importance. The same way happens here. Tasmat na atma vidah karmani adhikara iti siddham. That's why it is established that for a man of realization, he does not have to engage in any kind of action at all. He is free from all kinds of action forever. Before I go into the next verse, I'll read Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji's commentary on this particular verse for us to gain much deeper understanding. But Puja Gurudev says, in order to bring home to Arjuna the idea that the world as experienced by an individual through the goggles of the mind intellect body is different from what is perceived through the open windows of spirituality, this stanza is given. The metaphorical language of this verse is so complete in detail that the data mongering modern intellect is not capable of entering into its poetic beauty. Of all the peoples of the world, the Aryans alone are capable of bringing about a combination of poetry and science. When the poet philosopher Vyasa takes up his pen to pour out his art onto the ancient palmyra leaves to express the bliss of perfection in the ecstasy, he could not have used a better medium in the Gita than his poetry. Here, two points of view, namely of the ignorant and of the wise, are contrasted. The ignorant person never perceives the world as it is. He always throws his own mental color onto the objects and understands the imperfections within his mind to be a part and parcel of the objects perceived. The world as viewed through a colored glass pane must look colored. When this coloring medium is removed, the world appears as it is. The consciousness within us is today capable of recognizing the world only through the media of the body, the mind, and the intellect. Naturally, we see an imperfect world not because the world is so, but because of the ugliness of the media through which we perceive it. A mastermind is he who, as rooted in his wisdom, opens up the windows of his perception and looks at the world through the eye of wisdom. When an electrical engineer comes to a city and dusk, when the whole city smiles forth with its light, he immediately inquires, is it AC or DC current? While the same vision to an illiterate villager is a wondrous sight, and he only exclaims, I have seen lights that need no wick or oil. From the standpoint of the villager, there is no electricity and no problem of AC or DC currents. The world that the engineer sees among the same lamps is not realized or known by the unperceiving intellect of the villager, nor is the engineer awake to the world of strange wonderment which the villager enjoys. Here we are told that the egocentric finite mortal is asleep to the world of perfection that is enjoyed and lived by the man of steady wisdom, and that the perfect one cannot see and feel the thrills besides the sobs which the ego experiences in its selfish life of finite experience. Now we'll move to the next verse, verse number 50. We will try to see the literal meaning of this verse. Another beautiful verse explaining the man of steady wisdom. Bhagwan Krishna says, but before I go to the next verse, I'll read the connection which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes, connecting verse number 69 to verse 70. विदुषः त्यक्तैषणस्य स्थितप्रज्ञस्य यतेः एव मोक्षप्राप्तिः न तु असन्न्यासिनः कामकामिनः इति एतम् अर्थं दृष्टान्तेन प्रतिपादयिष्यन् आह. The three ashanas which I spoke about, Lokeshana, Vitteshana, etc., 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 those three ashanas which I spoke about in my podcast before, or he says, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji in the connecting verse says, is a wise devotee alone who has abandoned desires and whose wisdom is steady can attain moksha, and not he who without renouncing cherishes desires. Vidusha means the one who is a man of wisdom. Tyaktaishanasya, by giving up all kinds of desires, the three kind of ashanas we speak about. Tyakta aishanasya, it's a bahuvachan, and giving up the three kind of ashanas, sthita pragyasya yatehe eva moksha prapti, alone becomes the correct candidate for attaining moksha. Because he's a sthita prajna, sannyasi vidwan, he's a one who is a man of steady wisdom, not the one natu asanyasira kama kamina iti, not the one who is full of desires left, right, and center, and spends his whole day and life if in trying to fulfill his or her desires. Not that person is ever capable of achieving in moksha realization. To give that, Bhagwan gives a metaphor here to explain that. That is what the next verse is all about. I'll read the next verse. We'll see the literal meaning and then we'll try to see the meaning in the detailed meaning in the next session. आपूर्यमाणम् अचल प्रतिष्ठम् समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायम् प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी. आपूर्यमाणम् अचल प्रतिष्ठम् समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायम् प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी. Brilliant metaphor and a brilliant verse by Supreme Consciousness. Another brilliant verse by Bhagwan Supreme Consciousness, Bhagwan Krishna. He says, Shantim sa apnoti. Actual peace he only attains. What about all of us? All of us, peace is a different, peace will always be in pieces. I'll use this way. Actually, that is an easier way to understand. Why? It will always be in pieces. They will be torn into pieces by our desires. I told you, man's desires only keep him into action and keep him awake. So he says, Shantim sa apnoti. Now the brilliant point is, all of us wants peace. All of us are striving for peace. Not even a kid who is in the cradle is the one who is not looking for peace and happiness. Peace and happiness is a basic necessity for all of us. But who attains peace? Sa shantim apnoti. And who is the one who is devoid of peace? See that difference, see that distinction here. Bhagwan had made two categories here. The first category is of kama kami. Kama kami means the one who is filled with desires. Maybe less, maybe more, I'm not talking about that, but has got desires, a lot of them. Kama kami, the one who is filled with desires, can never gain peace for a long period of time. His peace will be in PEACE, will be in PIECES, pieces, always. So then who is the one who attains peace? Bhagwan gives that thing here. Yam sarve kamaha pravishanti, in which person all the desires enter, but none of them are able to push or generate him into action. None of them are able to entice this person. None of them are able to excite this person. None of them are able to push or force this person into action. So Bhagavan gives that meaning, and a brilliant metaphor Bhagavan gives here. I'm going to touch that now, but we'll see the remaining in the next session. Apuryamanam Achala Pratishtham Samudram Apaha. The way water from all sources in the world, all rivers in the world enter the ocean. But in spite of that, they don't make any change in the ocean, level of water in the ocean. That's the kind of metaphor Bhagavan has given. So beautifully, Bhagavan says that all water from all sources enters the ocean. Sarvato gataha apaha. Wherever the water is, the property of water is that its gati will always be towards the ocean. Wherever the water, whether it falls from the sky, from the clouds, from the rain, from a river, from a drain, wherever water is, its search or its chase will be always, or its gati, its pace will be always towards the ocean, without any hindrance, without any kind of change. All sources of water always are looking to flow towards the ocean. But how is the ocean? Achala pratishtham, unmoved. It's unmoved. Even though water from all sources is moved towards it, but it remains unmoved. Yadvat, in the same way, the way it is like this. Tadvat, in the same way, desire from all sides enter this man of realization, but this man of realization, it remains achala pratishtham, unmoved, undeterred, unpushed, undisturbed. That is what is meant by here. That is the literal meaning of this particular verse. Rest of it we'll see in the next session. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम तत्सत्।